Sziasztok, most a Heroes 7 Map Editorról fogtok hallani információkat, illetve lesz egy nagy meglepetés 20. éves Heroes évfordulóra. Ezt nézhettek most elég duplázásokkal, hogy hallhatjátok, itten duplán megy a videó. Ez valami Twitch-es hiba vagy Ubisoft. Elég zavaró. Most már úgy néz ki jó.
Okay, so that was a great trailer. I hope you can hear me. We're having some little technical issues with sound. So
mondjuk itt a vezető pálya designer, illetve egy írója és az egyik kampányok köszön az elfekének. Julian Pirro, alias Martin.
And this is a live stream, and as usual, when we try to do something live, something breaks. Okay, so let's continue. Well, as you saw at the end of the trailer, of course, we are currently in the last sprint to work on Might and Magic Hero 7. The game will be released on the 29th of September, so pretty soon now. The team is hard at work to offer a great Heroes game, and already a lot of issues that you could experience during the beta 2 have been solved, and we continue to work until the very last minute on this game, and beyond that as well. So yeah, we hope you really like the game when it's released at the end of the month. And actually, it's a good opportunity before we go to the topic of the map editor to have a look at the collector box of the game, because last time we did some Twitch we had a fake prototype box. Today we have the real thing. So I'm trying to open it. It's not easy to do that while trying to keep an eye on the camera. I'm opening it. Trying to put it above. So Ivan, Duke of Griffin. Great statue, and of course goodies, tarot deck, we have game. Yeah, this is the main attraction actually. Yep, trying to put it there. We have this nice Art of Heroes art book with all the concept arts from Hero 7. Not quite sure what this is, but this mysterious envelope with great stuff in it, I'm sure. And the game soundtrack, so composed by Rob King and Paul Romero, but also by Rock Shen, who was the composer on Might and Magic 10 Legacy. So all in all, great collector box. I think I got everything from it. Yeah, and there are also some digital bonuses, like special hero, which is a hero you might know, called Solmir in the old Heroes games. So this is back in his Ashan incarnation, and he's a star of a special scenario map. But I think we'll talk more about him in the Shadow Council in a couple of days. So if you want all the details on Solmir's map, you'll know everything. So I think it's time to go to the map editor. Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be the main topic today. So let's go to the tool. Black background, yeah, keep walking. Yeah, okay. So this is actually a map done by Limbic that you see here. I am in the map editor, but before you get to this level of detail and craft, probably have to spend a few days or weeks training, probably more than that actually. So yeah, this is only, I'm showing that so you have an example of the kind of great stuff you can do with this tool. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's go back to the beginning and start a new map. So here you have several options. You can choose to do a new adventure map, so it's basically a Heroes map. A random map, we'll get back to the random map generator a bit later. Or a combat map if you want to do your own combat maps. But let's go for a regular map. So you can choose between different sizes for your map. I'm going for normal. You can give it a name. Let's call it Twitch map. You don't have to give it a name right away. You can give it a name later if you are not inspired on the moment. Then you can either go for a skirmish map, so it's also a multiplayer map, or a scenario map. I probably won't watch the camera too often because I have the lights right in my eyes, so it's not very nice. Yeah, I think there are several people from Limbic on the chat currently. So thank you very much, guys, for coming and also to answer some of the more technical questions people might have about the tools. And I really want to especially give kudos to the guys who worked on the tools. So Christian, Oscar, Adrian, Fei Tang, other people I'm probably forgetting. Since we're the four I'm the most interacted with the most. And also all the level design team at Limbic who are really great. Mark, Johannes, Monica, Ramiro, Max, Stefan, and the others. So yeah, they're really doing a great job, and I really think that this map editor is one of the best things Hero 7 has to offer, and Hero 7 has a lot of great things to offer. Okay, enough congratulations, and let's go to map making. So here on the left, you can see the usual interface of any map editor. Really, you can choose to paint some textures. You have, of course, different typesets. Yeah, loading a new texture, so it was a couple of seconds first time you use it. Of course, each texture has an automatic combat map setting, and also terrain movement modifier. So you have rough terrain, it's slower to walk on that. Well, if you know Heroes, you know what I mean. You have some roads, and so on. You have different parameters for your brush, more or less fall off, more or less strength of paintings. You can change the size. So yeah, that's the basic terrain painting tools, basically, of the map editor. Of course, you also have things to sculpt your terrain. So either by maybe closer to the ground, raising the terrain, like I'm doing here, or actually digging. If you want to add water more or less deep, you can smooth the terrain. So yeah, that's the basic terrain sculpting tool of the game, of the editor. So you have the foliage tool. Foliage tool is a pretty cool tool actually, because it allows you to paint with a variety of props like trees, mostly. So you can select the trees you want to use. You have different types of trees. I'm not sure actually which one I should use for this. Let's put a few stumps as well. Yeah, that should be good. You can choose the density of views of each kind of tree, and then you can paint, and basically the brush will put trees and the various objects you selected in the area. And you can erase the trees, the foliage you painted by pressing the Shift key and clicking. But you can also here unselect some of them if you want. For instance, if I only want to remove the stumps, I can actually do just that and leave the other trees in place. So that's pretty cool. And also, if you want to remove, like, I want actually to remove all the stumps from my map, you can just click here on the little cross, you say yes, and basically all the stumps of this particular stump actually is removed from your map. Now let's move on to the more interactive kind of objects. Of course, you have some towns you can put on the map. You have some forts. For every faction, basically, you have random objects. Especially for multiplayer map, if you want to let people choose what kind of faction they want to play. So yeah, basically you can choose which player belongs to which player belongs every object. You have interactive buildings, so dwellings. Don't see my mouse pointer because of this light I get in my eyes. So sorry if I'm a bit fumbling a bit with the tool. So for instance, here we have an alchemist lab, we have an arcane academy. Well, what could we put? Cartographer. We have lots of stuff actually. Dragon Utopia, of course. Classic building from Euros. Some new ones like the Elemental Forge. If you played Might and Magic 10, probably remember this building. Lighthouse, haunted rooms. So yeah, that's some examples. You have battle sites, power-up sites, dwellings, like oasis. Some more utilitarian buildings, like for instance one that I really missed as a level designer back in Euro 6, which were this sort of keymaster building. So here there are the seals. So you have these seals by color, and you need to have basically to have visited the corresponding altar before you can remove the seal. So yeah, that's basically the kind of things you can use. You have also bridges. Bridges are a new feature in Euro 7 actually, in a way, because you can destroy them, which is something pretty cool, but only if you put special building called a manipulator that you see there. For a long time it was only a small flag. Now we have an actual proper model for it, and basically you can link this manipulator, you can set up what will be the cost to rebuild the bridge, and then you can link it. Actually, I think it's done rather in the bridge. Yeah. You can link them together so that this manipulator repairs this bridge. So you can actually put the manipulator for a bridge very far from it and hide it somewhere in your map, and people have to go there. I mean, your imagination is the limit, basically. You have heroes. So here, look at the heroes we have in Heroes 7. So for instance, Yoari here. Of course, you can edit the properties of the hero, change its level, army, inventory, skills, and so on. So that's the regular stuff. You can put armies, I mean neutral monsters on the map. Again, you have some properties you can edit. Is it affected by diplomacy or not, and so on. And also random stacks, either random, fully random stack or random core creature, strong core, elite, strong elite, and so on. You have several kinds of stacks. And because I know some people complained, or yes, one guy complained on the Shadow Council about the randomness being a bit too random, basically, you can actually choose here if you want basically the kind of factions that are allowed or permitted for this particular army. So here it's everything basically, but you can say, okay, only Haven and Academy, or only Stronghold and Sylvan. So yeah, really the mapmaker has a lot of parameters he can play with to have the experience he wants basically on the map. You have artifacts, so either random or an actual specific object you want to put on the map. So again, we have, I don't remember how many, but like 160 artifacts in Euro 7. And you have also scrolls. So to cast a spell, and basically once the spell is cast, the scroll is removed from your inventory. You have resources, campfire, the various resource piles, shadows here. Compared to the beta, I think the colors of the resource piles have been improved a bit, so they stand out a bit more. Oh, that was a random resource. And of course, yeah, the random, if you are not, if you just want a resource to be there, but not where.
Ez egy jó dolog, ugye szemlegettem onnan az egyik videómban, hogy nehezen meglátható egy nyersanyag, és most módosítottak rá, hogy könnyebb lesz felismerni. Egyébként módosítottak az egész színvilágon is egy picit, például a sivatag nem annyira vakító lehet most már. És láthatóan nagyon sok mindent lehet csinálni a Mac Editorban, a térképszerkesztőben. És ebben még nincs is benne minden dolog. Ez egy általános default térképszerkesztő. És néhány tárgyért vagy tereptípus egyéb dolgokért az Arial térképszerkesztőbe kell beálltak, és akkor egy profi, még nagyobb módja ennek a Heroes 7 Map Editor szerkesztőnek, ezt amit most láthattuk, az elvileg a sima módja.
That's also where you can add some climatic effects. Like, I don't know if you really see that in the Twitch, but here I put some rain.
Esőt is lehet rakni, meg havazást, ugye hát ez az Unreal 3 Engine-nek köszönhető. Nem fog hatni a csatákra egyébként, de látványos. És látjátok, lesznek olyan kapuk, amelyeket ilyen oltárok felkeresésével lehet feloldani.
Here we have the
És hát ugye lesznek rombolható hidak, hogyha összekötődik egy ilyen romboló hatással a hidat, akkor le lehet rombolni, valamilyen költséggel felépíteni.
So is a tile marker. Actually, we don't really see it here, but it's sort of invisible tile objects that you can then use for scripts to like use like the event object.
És lehet eseményeket vagy scripteket csinálni egy tárgy, az ami láthatatlan így a térképen, de azt tudjátok állítani, hogy valami eseménysor részévé lehessen tenni, tehát érdekes. Vagy például igen, az asakönyvét itt el lehet ásatni, és akkor ugye meg kell látogatni a 8 obeliszket, és akkor vannak ilyen kis térképek, puzzle térképek, mint a Heroes 3-ban, és akkor meg lehet az asakönyvbe.
So this is where you will put description, your name.
Meg lehet állítani a bejártásait, a lementéseit is a térképnek, térképneve, stb. Lehet állítani, hogy hányan legyenek a játékosok, milyen hetek legyenek, ugye változó hetek vannak, például a dupla csontvázat kapsz a héten, stb. Varázslatokat, hősöket, miket töltsön be a térkép alapból, artefaktok. És a nyerési és vesztési kondíciók, ugye, nyerés és lehet, nyerés és veszteségbeli feltételek beállíthatók eléggé lehetőségekkel.
Right away. So, I will turn my map, actually I will create a scenario map. Or better yet, I will show you an actual map I've been working on, called Blood on the Bay. I talked a bit about it on the Shadow Council when I did the map editor.
Most itt látta egy konkrét kész térkép, ez most egy komplet térkép lehet, mert ugye elvileg az elfekét aztán már az én csináltam, de ebben nem vagyok biztos.
The screenshot I posted a while ago. And
ezt mutatták is egy videóban már. És látható, hogy mennyire jobban látszanak a nyersanyagok most. Azért sokkal jobban
there are for instance some quests. So I'm going to the script tool.
Vannak állítva küldetések, és a script szerkesztőnél ezeket meg is tudja változtatni.
What the reward will be,
milyen ilyen a jutalom, például legyőzöd azt a szörnyet, stb.
Consequence for losing the quest.
És ha elveszítitek, akkor, vagy nem tudjátok megcsinálni a küldetést, milyen hátrányok érjenek. Lehet narrációs szöveget is berakatni, stb. Elég tartalmas egyébként ez a térképszerkesztő tényleg.
Brigand attack events, again like in the old Heroes, and so on. So yeah, you can write your text to call them at the right moment. And if you are very enthusiastic and very motivated, you can also create cutscenes. So
nagyon kreatívak és nagyon jó hozzáértőek vagytok. Akár ilyen átvezetőket is alkothattok.
But yeah, it's there if you want to use it. So what else could I show you? Yeah, I think I'll go back to an empty map, but to show some of the things of the Unreal part of the editor, because that's pretty important.
Ja, most mutatja az Unreal profi módját, részét a térképszerkesztőnek.
So Unreal mode is sort of expert mode.
Ez egy ilyen expert szakértői mód. Még komplexebb dolgokat csinálhattok.
It's less user-friendly.
Kevésbé felhasználó barát kezelőfelülettel rendelkezik, de hát sokkal jobb dolgokat is lehet vásárolni, több dolgot jobban.
I think some people are asking the maximum size of the map. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken.
Kérdezzük, hogy mekkora a legnagyobb méret, hát azért 3x300, az nem rossz azért. Normálnak a 3-szorosa, 4-szerese. Függ, hogy nem tudom.
So for instance, one of the most important things in the Unreal editor is the content browser. That's where everything from the game is, basically. So all the archetypes, all the objects.
Minden archetípus, minden tárgy benne van ebben a faszerkezetben körülbelül. Itt minden megtalálható, meg tudjátok, rá tudtok keresni. Ki is lehet nagyítani, és hát most például rákeres hegyi tárgyakra, vagy ilyen objektumokra, ugye? És akkor mindegyiket behozza, és akkor lehet használni. És akkor nem kell ilyet csinálnatok magatoktól, nem vannak ilyen alapbeállított hegyek például. Ez kicsit ilyen magányos hegye.
And one of the great things of this Unreal mode is, for instance, a tool that I really love, which is just there. And if you select your terrain and your mountain, you can basically sculpt your terrain to match the object you put on it. So now I have my terrain that is shaped like the mountain.
Tehát részében a szerkesztőnek át lehet alakítani a hegyeket egy-két kattintással a mellettük alattuk lévő területtípushoz. Tehát mit tudom, berakjátok mondjuk véletlenül a havas hegyet, két kattintással be lehet állítani füves területhez tartozó dombságnak vagy hegynek. És ez a módnak az egyik nagy lehetősége. Át is lehet színezni, stb. Tehát
snow. So I think currently the editor is only in English. I think.
Jelenleg csak angolul érhető el a szerkesztő, de lehet, hogy később lesz mondjuk magyarul is. Nem tudom.
Because it's based on the default Unreal editor, so some things.
Ugye az alap Unreal szerkesztőre támaszkodik, illetve azon alapul, de hát ez amiatt is van.
Quickly put a mountain that looks actually like a natural mountain and better than I would have achieved by using the sculpting tool. So let's go back to the content browser and
itt továbbra is a tartalmi, illetve részen vannak ilyen, lehet keresni bármire gyakorlatilag. És akkor nem kell mindent megalkotoknak megcsinálni, ti is megcsinálhatjátok persze lépésről lépésre, milliméterről milliméterre. Most különböző statikus tárgyat, elemet lehet lerakni például még díszítő elemektől kezdve, ugye, épületeken át lehetne sorolni. Ez a static mesh-nél, bocsánat, static meshes.
I see some people are asking about day-night map. It's possible. Some of the maps of the game actually are set at night.
Sokan kérdeztek a nappali éjszakai térképekről, lehetséges.
Quite a bit of work to set up.
Már azt hiszem a kampányban is van néhány ilyen térkép, ahol mondjuk éjjel van.
It is possible.
Azt mondja, itt a Visual Input, lehetséges.
The game are actually night maps.
A nappali és éjszakai is, csak az éjszakai gondolom nehezebb megcsinálni, nem mondja, de hát gondolom nem olyan, lehet egy kicsit nehezebb, vagy hát nem tudom. De esetre lehetséges, az a lényeg.
Okay. So other tools we haven't shown yet is probably create a scenario map for that.
Most csinálj nem ilyen multiplayeres, vagy akár egyedül gépen játszhatós térképet, hanem egy szenáriót, ami azt hiszem ugye ilyen kampányszerű küldetéses térképet akarja.
Is what you use to create your own heroes.
Na most itt van a hős szerkesztő panel, ahol saját hősőket is megalkothatjátok. Teljesen újat, vagy akár egy már ismertet berakhattok, amit így elkészítettek. Megadhatjátok nevét, képét, portréképét. Van pár. Mondjuk a legtöbb a Heroes 5-6-ból hasonlatos, ahogy látom, de vannak újak is. Modellt is lehet, hogy nézzen ki. A hős, ilyen, hát, sheet, hős papíron nézőjelvel van a kettőjében. Hogy nézzen ki a kalandtérképen, tehát ugye
faction
3D-ben.
it belongs to.
Aztán melyik frakcióhoz tartozom?
Is default hero attack? What? Is it a might
Milyen
attack
hősi
or
támadás
magic attack?
legyen erőtámadása, vagy mágia támadásokból föld, levegő, tűz, ősi, sötétség, stb.
What is specialization?
Milyen skill képességei legyenek, illetve milyen specializációval induljon. Illetve milyen skill osztállyal induljon, és aztán milyen specializációval induljatok a kezdéssel. Aztán mi a kezdeti skillje vagy képessége legyen, mit tudom, például defense skillákban mindenképp legyen egy skill pontja már, tehát illetve legyen a kezdősereg a hőssel. Például grip, ami most alapszintű lett a Hero Save-ben. És hát semleges egység, de attól még be lehet rakni bárhol, sőt kampányban is benne lesz. Tehát itt nem heaven egység, de hozzá tartozhatna igazán. No.
And so now on your map, this custom hero is added at the bottom of the list.
És akkor legalul jelenik a custom az ilyen beállított hős.
All the heroes you create
is van.
in the hero tool are automatically added to the all of heroes pool. So they can be recruited in
tehát amelyik ilyen új hőst megcsináltak, az automatikusan, amikor kézbe kerül a hősök csarnokával, tehát abban idézővel csarnokban, ami bárki választhat onnan a hősöket, ugye ez eddig íradóban is volt, egy teljes hős csoportba kerül be, amelyből már ezt a hőst is választhatjátok például a kocsmákban mondjuk. Tehát most pedig egy artefakt panelt láthatok, itt is lehet artefaktot berakatni, vagy csinálni, milyen háttérképe legyen, milyen erős legyen, relikvia legyen, vagy csak egy normál, vagy egy erősebb artefakt, hova kerüljön például a fő jobb kezedbe mondjuk. Leírást írhatok hozzá, ha meg kell venni, fizetni kellene érte, vagy eladni kell, akkor az értéket megadhatjátok mennyiért, és miért. Cserélhető legyen-e, vagy sem. Tartozon-e minden frakció fölverseny, sem. Kellene hozzá valami előfeltétel, vagy sem. És hogy milyen bónuszokat ad, tehát gyakorlatilag mit ad igazságban szerint. Milyen hatásokat lehet hozzáadni, tehát mit például sárkányaszért kaptok naponta 2, tehát ez a piros nyersanyag. És akkor ezen kívül még mit tudom én, a hős sebesítését 10-zel növeli, hogyha ugye üttek vele, és nem varázsoltok mondjuk egy körbe. És most már ott van, az is legalul, és gondolom akkor ez is bekerül az artefakt listába. Ezután már választani is lehet simán. Most ugye itt egy akadémi vár. Valaki megkezdte, hogy offline lehet-e játszani, kipróbálni a térképszerkesztőt, ezt én sem értem. Teljesen ahogy ő sem. És csak egyszer kell regisztrálni egyébként, tehát nem kell fölmenni szerverre, amit te írozhatnál, meg mit tudom én. De Uplay-en egyszer beregisztráljátok a játékot, és utána kész. Egyébként. Egy heaven vár is. Nézzük meg akció közben. Akkor ezt a térképet, amíg ez nem egy nagy térkép lett gyorsan. Lehet, hogy erre gondolt egyébként a srác.
To be able to test something, so it's loading in the background. So it will take.
Most töltjük be a háttérbe egyébként, hogy látni lehessen magába a játékba, kipróbálni.
That's a good opportunity to answer some questions. So yeah, can you add custom picture and portrait? You can. It's done in the Unreal editor. Currently there's no interface to import them easily in the default editor, but it's really not so hard once you get how it works, and I will show it actually in a couple of minutes. And can I change size of elements? It depends. Gameplay elements, it's limited because of collisions and all this stuff. So probably some people from Limbic can be more detailed about this. And yeah, there was another question. I think no. Well, now I am in the game, or yeah, rather empty map. But I have my hero, Twitch, the mighty barbarian, or actually necromancer that looks like a dark elf. Don't judge me. And and here I have the sword of Twitch. And I forgot a word in the description, but that gives you an idea.
Fel kell tőle az a híropédia egyébként, amivel ön a játékban azzal a lényeket, a hősöket tudjátok megnézni. Be is tud menni a várba. Kicsit alakítottak a városképen is.
When it was lacking in the beta and a lot of people were asking for it, but now you can basically access. It's there.
Ott van ilyen hősök. Bal felső részén ez a hőspédia, ahol egyébként a lényeket is meg tudjátok nézni összes frakcióra.
That's also where you can access the creature statistics.
Itt vannak a statisztikák és a képességek.
Abilities are doing and so on. And some general lore about the factions and the world of factions.
Általános háttér és sztori is a frakciókhoz, lények.
And when you go to the... I don't have the... Pass a turn, okay. Create a dwelling, let's say stone parapet. New thing as well. Little animation to show your building appearing, that was also missing in the...
Igen, ezt is várták a játékosok, hogy láthassátok animációval, hogy megépül az épület. Na, így lehet megnézni a jellemzőit. Meg azt is, mi a fejlesztett hangzata, stb.
Okay, so now let's go back to the editor and customize this hero a bit more. Can I switch easily between Pro and Basic Editor? Where basically you just click there.
Aha, azra egy gombbal lehet állítani az alap, illetve ezt az árnyal professzionális változatát.
Going back and forth between the two because, for instance, terrain sculpting, I find it more intuitive in the default editor, while when I want to do some modding, well, I have to go to the Unreal editor. So often.
Ha nagyon változtatni, moddingolni akartok, akkor jobb az Unreal editort használni. Hogyha csak egy szimpla, definitív, gyors, mondjuk terep alkotást akartok, akkor ugye sima szerkesztőt érdemes használni.
So here at the bottom of the list you can see your new packages you're creating, so that's the map. And that's where I need to go back to all. I can see my custom artifacts. Sword of Twitch. My custom hero, Twitch.
Láthatjátok a általatok alkotott artefaktokat, vagy hőst is. És ugye be tudjátok importálni is.
Some visuals. Yeah, I have some portraits.
Na, itt vannak például portréképek, amelyeket be lehet importálni.
What I will do is that I will import like
tehát új képeket is akkor ezek szerint be lehet rakni.
In my map. So drag and drop. The thing you need to know, you need to make sure that you're importing it in your map. Right now it's called Untitled 15, so it's better when you give it a proper name, clearly. You can put it in a folder, like custom pick. You don't need to change the name.
Tudjátok írni a nevét, milyen csomagban legyen, és milyen mappában, stb. És akkor...
LOD group. You need to make sure that it's UI if it's a portrait or an icon.
Meg kell állítani, hogy kezelőfelület része legyen, hogyha mondjuk egy ikon, vagy egy portrékép, és akkor így be tudjátok rakni, és benne is van elvileg.
PNG files, you don't have to create DDS files or whatever. Here I have my great icon. Another little thing you need to do, it's autosave of the editor. Yeah, because
aztán kell egy autosave mentés is.
your map on a regular basis, which is always good, because especially if you go to do some modding, there are times where you break something and make it crash. It happens.
Ja, igen, tehát azért érdemes gyakran autosave-elni, vagy simán menteni, mert ugye crashelhet, kiléphet, lehet akármilyen hiba egy... Bocsánat, moddolás közben. Térképszerkesztő esetén is azért gyakran jobb menteni.
sRGB parameter, because else your icon will appear very dark in the game. I don't know why, but... Okay, so where is my portrait? Here it is. Again, uncheck this. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to my custom hero, properties,
és ugye beállítja saját magának készített hős és a hősképnek a különböző beállításait.
Icon parameter.
Ikon paraméter.
Click on this little green arrow there.
Ez egy komplexebb és bonyolultabb editor rész, ugye ez az Arial professzionális rész, de hát ezzel mindent megcsináltam. Kicsit eszmetelősebb, hogy így fogalmazzunk. De legalább mindent megcsinálhattok. Szinte.
Here, up, and it's changed, and I will fix this description. Now let's go back to the game. Or actually, even to go faster, in the Unreal mode you can choose to open your map in an editor.
Az Unreal módban le is,
so it's faster,
lehet állítani, hogy milyen idézve játsza le, mutassa meg a térképet így akció közben.
But at least it allows you to test some stuff very quickly.
Lehet tesztelni gyorsan jó pár tucot, amit ugye megcsináltatok, és nem kell mindig belépni külön a játékosat.
Oh yeah, I will add the grid later. I hope I'm not crashing the editor right now, that would be a bit better. Scared me for a minute there.
Pillanatra megijesztette. Juliánt azt hitte, hogy becrashelt, ugye? Az editor.
And here we are with Twitch. Now as a custom portrait, and the sword of Twitch as an hammer icon. Yeah, that's what I had.
Hát most az ikonok ugye passzolnak az új ikon, az általán készített artefakthoz, az új hőskép az általán készített artefaktra. Vagy hőskép, bocsánat.
Ooh, that's buggy. That's not supposed to do that. I move back to my own map because it will probably work better. You know, when you've been opening and closing a lot of maps, sometimes the grid starts acting up. Here it's back to normal.
Visszatért a
so basically, on the grid, you can see little tiles.
Lehet látni ezeket gyakorlatilag ezek egy-egy lépést reprezentálnak, gondolom. Ezek a nézecskék, és itt lehet látni, mi hogy van.
The black outline, it means that the path is blocked.
Ha a feketével van beszatírozva, akkor az blokkolt út, tehát arra nem lehet menni valami miatt tovább.
Like grey is road, different shades of green depending if it's forest, it's grass. It's basically visual sign and feedback. It's brown for the wasteland kind of terrain.
Vannak például a wasteland terület, ez tartozik ugye a területeseket is mutatta.
Also the possibility to paint the passability of the map if you think that some parts should be blocked a bit more than it's currently.
Lehet még blokkolni utólag is akármit, tehát ugye még több blokkot
so yeah, I'm going through a lot of stuff right now, but hopefully we'll do some video tutorial a bit later when we have the time to explain step by step everything I'm showing right now. So what should I do?
Sajnos a Twitch-nek nem a legjobb a minőség.
Go for something a bit more technical. That's how to add a biography for your hero. So currently we are lacking a button to do that.
Életrajzot vagy életrajzot, biográfiát, stb. Lehet rakni a hőshez.
But what I'm doing basically is that I go to the map files, locating one of the, looking for bios, like yeah, this one. Create a copy.
Egy ilyen előelkészített életrajzot rak be a hős alá, úgymond. A másik hős alá. Copy-paste-val gyakorlatilag átnevezés, stb. Beírja, hogy hol legyen, milyen csoportban legyen, hero biasban. Milyen neve, stb.
So now in my map I have this hero bio object. I can edit it, I can change it.
Tudja változtatni is, törölni, meg szerkeszteni, stb.
Clive Morgan is a powerful knight and the Baron of Beowulf. I need to find something better than that for the final version of this map. And again, go to custom heroes. I select Clive Morgan. Select this view here. I'm used to work on with two screens, so where is hero bio data? It's there, and that's it. Now we have the bio. I can save my map. I see some people are thinking that the winged Kabir is a sort of imp. No, actually it's just a fake. All these sort of crystal objects are the random objects of the editor.
Kristályozott tárgyak vagy lények, ezek a random lényeket akarják, tehát ezek akármi lehet.
Just to show that it's not an actual game.
Kabir modell szárnyakkal látszó, csak azért megkülönböztesse és kristályosan, hogy ez egy random lény. Kérdés volt. Hogy miért így néz ki, hogy mi ez? Hát ez gyakorlatilag a random lény.
I'll show the campaign editor in a couple of minutes, don't worry. And modding as well.
Megmutatja a moddingolást, illetve a kampányszerkesztőt is. Nektek a maga a pálya.
Nice map with nice narration. I have Clive Morgan, my hero. And now,
ott a leírása.
Or bio, that is very bit limited, but now at least. And all the heroes I created for the map.
Szóval van a többi hős is, ami a pályán található, vagy választható, lehető.
But yeah, they are automatically added to the Heropedia, which is pretty cool.
Automatikusan beleszerkesztődnek a Hírópédiába.
I'm taking some 25 black dragons. It was nice to explore the map easily. And I'm going to
25 fekete sárkánytig.
Show you some of the stuff I created. Actually, some like let's say light modding I did for this map. So, for instance, a lot of people were asking about windmills objects. So I created one.
Sokan kérték ugye, hogy a szélmalmok legyenek olyan tárgyak, mint a híroszállal, most ugye más dolgok voltak, például adószedőház, stb. De most átalakított például egy malmot, és sokan kérdezték erre. Pedig ez csak egy díszítés volt, egy design elem.
So it's like in the old Euros that you visit it every week and you can get some money. What else did I do in this map? Run on everything here.
Rich.
AI is playing. Oh, a little dev secret, I guess, is that if you look here, sorry, you can see this sort of red sphere, and that when you are playing your map from the editor, this is basically for you, the map maker, to know where you hit the gray or the tier fascia. So it's a reminder.
Érdekes, tehát most ilyen map, a térképszerkesztőben játszák. Hát akkor is az a piros jel azt jelzi, hogy hol van a se könnyen, hogy ezt tudjátok így. A térkép előjátszás az eszközések közben. Mindenki hozzá?
So yeah, I created a
Baron Rufus
script. I need to show you this actually this is the bow shell. No more movements. So here it's very simple scripting. You visit it, you get a message, then you get an artifact.
Azt látod is egy üzenet sort, egy történet sort kapott.
So yeah, that was where this icon is coming from actually. It's our graphic designer that we have here in Ubisoft, Ines, who created this icon especially for this map, so thank you Ines. And yeah. So very simple modding here in this map is, for instance, I created this neutral armies, this Sylvan garrison object. So what does it do? It's like a garrison, but it plays a Sylvan siege map, and you fight Sylvan troops. So that's very easy. Basically, I duplicated the garrison object. I changed the 3D model, I changed the reference to the combat map, and what are the default creatures you find in it, and that's it. Yeah, a lot of the modding you can do is basically by duplicating things that are already in the game, opening the properties in the Unreal editor, changing everything you don't like. Yeah, it's just a question of understanding the logic behind the properties, basically. I open the combat map, I hope it will work. Sometimes it's when you're opening the editor window, it doesn't really like when you start a combat actually. If it's too long, I will just close the window. People are asking how much time it took me to create this map. I really worked on it bits after bits, in between other things, so maybe it's all put together, it's maybe a day of work or 2 days of work.
Egy nap alatt csináltam meg körül a térképet, úgyhogy ez a másik dolgot is csinál.
So yeah, it's yeah, I think 2 days of work to do that.
Körül 2 napig.
Yeah, one last thing I wanted, I talked about it in the article on the Shadow Council. We have this object called the visitable shell, and basically in its properties you can choose how it should look like Necro Statue 1. You can choose descriptions for it, give it a custom name, like, ooh, that's creepy, and then you will be able to use that in your scripts, basically, to say, okay, when the player interacts with this shell, he gets a quest, dialogue open.
Meg lehet rakni bármit, és látni ragítani, hogy mit, milyen fajt, már a kinézete, meg stb. És akkor lehet rakni, és akkor például ad egy küldetést, bemész és az egy küldetést.
Choose a house or anything, and then in the script tool, say, okay, when visiting these shells, this happens. Yeah, that's what I was figuring out with the combat maps. Can we add creatures? It depends. I think you have everything you need to do it, but you will need to import your own 3D models, animations, and so on. So that's, I think, quite a bit of work. But if you're motivated and have the skills, yeah.
Akkor a lényeket is lehet berakni, csak nagyon motiváltak és szakértőnek kell lenni.
If you play the beta, you already know that. Not in this particular map, but you can, of course, add an underground
igen, föld alatti részt is lehet rakni.
And in the Unreal editor, you can actually add even more separate levels, like 3 or 4.
Az Unreal szerkesztő részben akár több szintű föld alatti részt is lehet belerakni. Vagy több szintes, tehát akár 3D-be több szintes.
If you're taking actually this midway, I'm Julien Pirou. I'm actually the lead level designer on Might and Magic Hero 7 on Ubisoft side, and I am here to showcase the map editing tools of the game. Yeah, campaign tool. Some people have requested it. So it's very simple. It's a very basic tool. Right now, you can link together up to 7 maps in the current version actually. You can give the campaign a name, a description, and if hero is in 2 maps, like you have, I don't know, Clive I created for this map. If I do another map, I make that a campaign, and Clive is also on map 2, automatically it will be the Clive as you left him at the end of map 1. Unless you go to the properties and say no. That's a different
ez a Clive Morgan nevűzés például minden 2-3 térképen szerepelni fog, akkor automatizál a másik térképen azon a szinten lesz, amit elértetek vele mondjuk az első térkép végén. Ha csak nem látjátok be, hogy nem ezt nem így akarjuk írni előre 0. szintről, akkor ez is megoldható.
Okay, so soon reach the end of this tool presentation and we'll go to the surprise.
Hamarosan a meglepetés az élő, ami ígértem. És itt van a random map generátor, ugye random térképző. Ez eddig csak kiegészítőben volt, hogy ez egy nagy dolog.
There are 2 of them. First one is that the random map generator can only be used in the editor, you cannot use it in the game. That's a really technical limitation because
ez érdekes, mondjuk a random térképgenerálót csak az editorban lehet használni magát a programot.
So yeah, you have to go to the editor. The other elephant in the room is that currently it's the first iteration of the random map generator. It doesn't know how to mix together several types of terrain. So yeah, that's a bit limited.
Nem lehet nagyon mixelni a különböző típusú területeket, de ez az első változata még csak ennek a random map generálónak. Lehet hány játékos, milyen táj, skirmish fájl, vagy sem méret, nagy méret.
So you have different, at least different types of decoration, basically.
7-8 féle föld alatti tájtípus van, téma azért ez durva. Így lehet állítani, azt lehet állítani, mennyire legyen nyersalgó gazdag, hány neutrál semleges épület legyen, vagy milyen erősen neutrál lények serege milyen erős legyen, stb. És generálja.
And then letting work, basically.
Az most is egy erdős térkép.
Yeah, 3D is a challenge for random map generation.
Megkérdezték is, hogy a 3D az egy kihívás a random map generátornak, persze igen. Nagyon sok játékmenetbeli értéknek kell változni, illetve külsőre is.
I'm pretty amazed that the team at Limbic has managed to have a working random map generator. I mean, all the functionality is there. The map is generated, it's playable. It handles all the buildings, all the dwellings, the area of controls. So that's pretty cool. But I guess there's still room for improvements, and especially by allowing it to mix together various tile sets. That would be the big improvements that the RMG will need in its next iteration. I chose a pretty big map, so it's taking a bit of time, but it will get there. So yeah, obviously for us the game, while it's released at the end of September, for us the life of the game doesn't end there. We'll continue to
megjelenik a játék szeptember 22-én, természetesen nem lesz vége a játéknak. Hanem utána is javítani fogják, folytatni fogják. Na itt a random, mert ugye 2D-ben erre is van lehetőség. 2D-ben. És lehet látni ezt nem mutatja, de 2D-ben is lehet látni alapszinten a térképet fölülről.
So here I have a completely random forest map.
Totálisan random erdős térkép.
So it puts roads, it puts everything you need. But as I was saying, it's only one type of terrain, so that's a big limitation currently.
Eddigi nagy limitáció az tényleg ez, hogy egyfajta tereptípust tud berakni, vagy a föld alá is. De ezen fognak dolgozni, hogy mindenki.
Of course, one of the things the random map generator is not very good at is making beautifully handcrafted decoration. So,
illetve még nem tud nagyon egyedi, szép, úgy tűnve, mint a kézzel gyártott tárgytípus lenne, vagy díszítő elem, ezt nem tudja még megoldani, de ezen is próbálnak javítani.
For this, I'm going to generate another one, going for the
VIP fanok
terrain and the volcanic channel go well together. You can actually uncheck the place gameplay objects parameter.
Tanácsoltak valamit, csak azt nem hallottam pont.
It's a smaller map, so it should go faster this time. In this case, it will generate a map that has all the terrain, all the forest, and everything, but no actual gameplay objects on it. So if you want to tell a story, but you are actually you don't care about sculpting your terrain by hand, you can use this option to generate an empty map, and from there you can just put your stuff in it. And of course, while the random map generator doesn't know how to mix terrain,
tehát most ez gyakorlatilag annyit jelenti, nem lesz olyan díszít, tehát nem lesz annyi tárgy benne, hogy az kipipálja. Ha valaki nem érdekel a sztori annyira, vagy a látványvilág gyorsan akkor csinálni térképet, akkor ez így megoldható. Vagy egy alapot igazából. Igen, most ez ilyen ilyen hamus terület, típus lávás. Aztán a föld alatt is olyasmi van.
To have the basic structure of a map that you will then transform to fit your needs. Okay, so that's it for the random map generator. Again, as we said, we will do some video tutorials and stuff like that to explain step by step how everything works. I know in this Twitch it's a bit like
fogok csinálni majd ilyen tutorial segítő videókat is elvileg, hogy hogyan működik a random generátor térkép, hogyan működik a térképszerkesztő, stb. De hát egy Twitchben nem lehet mindent, ugye?
And now we'll talk maybe more about modding.
Most még a moddingról, ilyen módok készítéséről különböző
játékok. Some of the stuff I've been working on.
Moddolás.
And if you came just for the surprise, that's where we are arriving right now. So for instance, recently I've been busy creating new adventure map objects using some decoration objects that we didn't use. For instance, if you play the old Heroes, you remember the abandoned wagon kind of objects.
Csinált ilyen új különböző tárgyakat. A régi Heroesokból például a Heroes 3-as. Szekér. Ez nem tudom melyikben volt, de ez is.
I created some custom battle sites, like this Black Pyramid object.
Ez a H6-ban volt.
I created yeah, a lot of things actually, and as well as some custom euros. And where I am, okay. Magic Well replace the Dragon Veins.
Mágikus
Are not
kúz, ugye ez is a régi részekből. Itt a Dragon, a sárkány
végén a kút
van, de kicserélte erre
I would
például.
like to call easy modding in a way, adding content to the game by using the existing and copying it, modifying it. That's the kind of stuff that's really easy to do. Yeah, I have the windmill object. The animation is only shown when you are in game, but here it is.
Ja, az animációk azok csak játék közben,
And,
illetve az in-game módban.
And I have also some heroes here, for instance. Yeah. So, you know, some guys that might be familiar to you.
Pár régi ismerős
Because,
is
yeah, that's one
megcsinált.
of the surprises I wanted to tell you about here in this Twitch. Actually, something I will be working on in the coming months. That since this is the 20th anniversary of Heroes, we wanted to have something special for fans of the series. And fate had it that while we were moving our offices, I came across there was this huge box, actually tons of boxes, that were the video archives. And in these boxes, so I'm a Heroes fan, Might and Magic fan, so of course I was curious, I needed to see what was inside. And I found this, how do you say that in English, workbook, that basically contains all the stories written by Terry Ray for Heroes 4.
Érdekes. Megtalálták véletlenül a régi Video jegyzeteit, és benne van az egész Heroes sztoria.
Much to my surprise, I found in this workbook 2 complete scripts for 2 campaigns that were never produced for Heroes 4, that Terry had written.
Megtalált olyan 2 kampány leírást, ami nem volt a Heroes 4-ben, benne csak be akarták rakni.
These are the stories of characters named Geneviève Seymour and Dog Woggle. 2 campaigns, Unity and Every Dog Has His Day. And we contacted Terry Ray to ask if he would be okay if we created or produced his unused script as free campaigns for Might and Magic Heroes 7. So the first campaign, Unity, will be released before the end of the year, so it will be completely free. If you own a copy of Heroes 7, it will be through a patch.
Ingyenesen, majd ezt a 2-3 kampányt majd az év vége fele meg fogják csinálni, az eredeti készítőkkel közösen együttműködve.
New artifacts, new buildings, yeah, a lot of things. And I really should not look at this light because now I'm not seeing anything anymore. And I will show you some of the things I've been working. I have this test map currently. It's only for testing things, but I'm starting to put that all into the game. And so we're calling these campaigns the Lost Tales of Axelf. Because Axelf, as you know, is
Axelt elveszett meséje, az Axelt világod a Heroes 4-ben volt, az utolsó videó. Hát és itt ezeket találták meg, ezeket a papírokat, és ebben most így jól vett, ugye csinál meg nem csinált kampányokat, ugye, mert csődöment a cég közben.
Set in this world.
Ötletes. Közben megvakult szegény, mert ilyen szembe vakítják, és
I used a randomly generated map to test quickly test some things without going to too many details of map making. but you will see how some of these things are coming up, shaping up. So the first Lost Tale will be released before the end of the year, this year, for the 20th anniversary of Heroes. The second one, called Every Dog Has His Day, will be released early next year. It's a rather funny story about Dog Woggle the Barbarian, who is not very competent, let's say. And yeah, we actually had the privilege to get in touch with George Almond, who was the artist, the portrait artist of Heroes 3 and Heroes 4. And Mr. Almond was very nice. He sent us all the original artwork he could locate. That's why we have these 68 euros. And we've been
68 hős hízképét elküldte a Heroes 3 és Heroes 4 egyik ilyen portré készítője nekik, szóval ezeket is fel tudják használni.
In some cases we had to cheat a little bit. For instance, Sandro, I mean, you cannot not have Sandro if you are going to have the old Heroes. But he could not find the Heroes 4 version of Sandro, but he did find the Heroes 3 version. So we say, okay, let's go for the Heroes 3 version. I mean,
akkor itt látjuk a Heroes 3-4-es, vagy kicsit átalakított, de Heroes 3-4-es portréképek
for
is.
Sir Christian, Classic Heroes, we went for the version we had in Might and Magic 10 Legacy, because again, we could not find the portrait he did for him for Heroes 4. And of course, there's the bios, and so on. And there are actually a few heroes that they created portraits for, but they were not in the game back then, including some returning characters from Heroes 2.
Most van ilyen Heroes 2-es, és akiket már nem tudok berakni a Heroes 4-be, ilyen átmentek egy portálon 4-be, a régi második harmadik részőse, és a új világnak értek. Ezek néhányan nem kerültek be, és most azokat is be tudják majd.
The Legends of the Ancients campaign, this is kind of the spiritual successor of that, unless sorry, I can't speak anymore. Yeah, except this time it's not a fan fiction story I wrote. It's actual script.
Ez már konkrét script alapján készült, ez nem egy fan, egy rajongói script.
Official story set in the ancient universe. So I'm super happy to be working on that and be able to offer that to every other fans who wanted to have.
Most egy random térkép típus, csak a hősöket akartam mutatni, ugye?
We were talking about modding.
Ez egy necróval?
Is that L1 in the right? Ah, here. No, actually I was talking about Heroes 2 characters that Josh. It was a barbarian hero in Heroes 1 and Heroes 2. And George Almond did a portrait for him, I think for Heroes 3, but it was never used. So we're using it. So Josh is having a new adventure. And we still have a few surprises coming up, so I'm trying to running up this long Twitch. I realize that I've been talking for a while now, that's why my throat is a bit sore. Here you can see the new old artifacts, because
régi új híres artefaktok is találhatók, és visszatérnek.
And a little thing I've been doing as well is tweaking, because yeah, as you know, in Axios the Necropolis faction had no spider, for instance. So yeah, I've been tweaking a bit the Necropolis stone screen, removing some of this stuff. I'll probably try to replace some icons as well, but yeah, one thing, one by one, basically.
Szóval még a Necrovárat is kicsit átalakították, mert ugye a Heroes 4-ben nem volt fók jelképük.
The Axios Necropolis was mixed with demons.
Igen, mi a Heroes 4-ben démonokkal lettek mixelve.
About, like, is it a good idea to do it? I mean, it's truer to the spirit of the original, but you tell me, fans, tell me what you think about it. Should I include demons in the? I'm going to cheat because I need money to build stuff. So you see our debug sheet window. Ooh. And so I've been adding some buildings from Heroes 4 actually. so you can hire demons in your necropolis town. I think it's cool to have this sort of reminder of Heroes 4, but I know the Demonopolis was at least as controversial as the Spideropolis we got now. So yeah, don't hesitate to tell me what you think about that. Yeah, what else? Oh yeah, I didn't say, but we also contacted Rob King and Paul Romero and asked them, we licensed from them some of the music from Heroes 4 to be used in this campaign, because I mean, music was a huge part.
Heroes 4 számot természetesen használni fogok a kampány. Heroes 4
So this is only the beginning of this project, but I'm very proud to announce it right now in this Twitch exclusively. There will be more details on the Shadow Council in the coming days and weeks about that. Yeah, and again, it will be completely free if you have
teljesen ingyenes lesz. Ha megvettétek, le tudjátok majd tiltani ezeket.
Before the end of the year, and all this new content and all this new basically all this content will be available as well to map makers if they want to use them in their own maps. So I hope many people will rise to the challenge and tell new stories set in the old universe. So I'm trying to read some of the comments, but it's very hard because this light is just super aggressive. Sure what that means. I use the same tools, you will have to do those campaigns.
Tu use the same tool, tu utilises les mêmes outils pour faire les maps figurées par les gens.
Oh yeah, all the maps done for Heroes 7 were done using these tools I just showed you. Of course there are some advanced knowledge of Unreal that's probably helping if you are a professional level designer, but the tools were the same, so potentially you can do everything. We have one last surprise for tonight, before I actually lose my voice for talking too much, is that it's the 20th anniversary of Heroes, and it wouldn't be an anniversary without going to see the man who created Might and Magic and Heroes, Jon Van Canegham. And so early in August, I actually went to Los Angeles to meet with him and to record an interview.
Heroes egyik alapítója vált Heroes kitalálója gyakorlatilag Jon Van Canegham érte el augusztusban.
Fan questions. So yeah, it's now again it's an exclusivity for this Twitch, an interview with Jon Van Canegham. And the nicest man.
Nekem sem egy hangom, Jon Van Canegham-mel való interjút készített a legnagyobb ilyen fan kérdésekkel.
So yeah, Jon Van Canegham is awesome, and yeah, so I hope you will enjoy this video, and
most lesz róla egy videó is.
And I leave you with the creator of Might and Magic. So goodbye. Thank you for watching this live stream.
Köszönjük. Most jön az interjú a Heroes alapítójával, Jon Van Canegham-mel legnagyobb rajongói kérdésekkel.
Hi, I'm Julien Pirou. I'm one of the writers and designers working at Ubisoft on the current Might and Magic and Heroes games, especially Might and Magic Heroes 7. But today, it's the 20th anniversary of the franchise, and I am with a special guest, Jon Van Canegham, the creator of Might and Magic and Heroes.
Thanks, Julian. It's great to be here.
So, can you tell us a bit about what you're doing currently?
Yeah, so I recently started a new company, and it's called VII Mobile Entertainment, and we're working on mobile games. So fantasy, strategy, I think a lot of the fans would be happy to see the new games we're creating for tablets and phones.
So Might and Magic Heroes, or Heroes of Might and Magic as it was called originally, is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. The first one was released in 1995. So how do you feel as a creator of the franchise this anniversary?
Wow, 20 years, that's pretty exciting. Never would have imagined it when we created the first one in 1995. And it's just so exciting to be here and having new games being made.
Can you tell us about how basically how Heroes came to be, how it was born?
Oh wow, it's quite a long tale, but I'll try to get through it quickly here. Originally, I was a big fan of strategy games as well as role-playing games, and I played a lot of board games and a lot of strategy games. And my first attempt at making a computer strategy game was actually King's Bounty, which some people refer to as the prequel to actually Heroes. And King's Bounty was quite a critical success, but not as much as a financial one. So we kind of put it on the side and said, all right, I'll stick to role-playing games for a while. But we had so much fan feedback and kept asking for a sequel, make a new strategy game, please. Said, all right, finally I'm going to do one. And we decided to make Heroes 1. And took a lot of the concepts I had learned from King's Bounty, and came up with this name called Heroes. And originally that was just going to be the name of the game. And ironically, when we went to go to market it, we couldn't get much attention. And that's when we decided to, all right, well, let's borrow from the RPG series and let's make it Heroes of Might and Magic, and maybe we'll get some shelf space. And really, that's how the game was born.
So originally, Heroes was not supposed to be basically part of the Might and Magic universe.
Yeah, so it wasn't planned to be linked at the time, but once we gave it the name, then we thought it deserved to have characters and references to the RPG series, and then it all just started to fall into place. And from a storyline and from a character point of view, it just made sense to start combining the two series.
Compared to King's Bounty, Heroes is much more of a strategy game. It's castles to take, territory to conquer, resources and so on. So that was really what you were aiming at with this game.
Absolutely. I really wanted a strategy game that you could start, play through, and finish and win, and then start over and try different strategies and tactics and different difficulty settings, resource management, exploration, a little bit of RPG. It was fun to just pull all that together in a fantasy theme. It was very exciting.
And that's a lot of different ingredients to put together in the same game. So how challenging was it to make the first Heroes?
It was actually very challenging. In fact, building the first game, of course, you have to build the engine first, and no one really even knows how the game is going to play while you're doing that. So we had a lot of doubting players and testers at the office. And ironically, very close until the game was actually finished, people didn't even think it was very good. The magic kind of came together in the last few weeks as we got the game actually working and worked out some of the play and the scenarios. But it was a long haul, and you had to have faith for a very long time to get that game done.
Do you have a specific anecdote or story that occurred during the development of Heroes 1 that you can share with us?
Oh wow, there's probably so many, but let's see. 3 weeks before the game was going to ship, people said this game wasn't any fun. I think that was the hardest one for me to get through, and then magically we made some changes on the difficulty and the pace of the game and some of the distances heroes could move, and then all of a sudden the game came alive. And when I saw the QA department couldn't stop playing, then I knew we did it, and I knew it was ready to go.
So from this first Heroes of Might and Magic came Heroes 2, which was in many ways, I guess, the real moment where Heroes exploded. So can you tell us about Heroes 2?
Yeah, so Heroes 1 was quite a mountain to climb to actually make, because we had to build the engine and the editors, and the amount of time left to actually build scenarios and balance was small. Heroes 2 was very exciting to start because we already had the technology and the engine. Now we could just add to it and make the gameplay deeper and more characters. So the whole development period was a lot of fun and a lot of playing.
Heroes 1 and 2 were not so heavy on the RPG side. I mean, the skills appeared only in Heroes 2, and they were quite limited compared to how it evolved later. And I think it's really the expansion pack that took the series to a more RPG direction. So what did you feel about that?
That was really quite interesting during the development of the game. Originally, Heroes was set out to be just a strategy game and not an RPG. Yet once we got to the first expansion for Heroes 2, it went definitely in the direction of more role-playing scenarios. And we found that the fan base actually, instead of shrinking, it actually grew fivefold. So we had people who really enjoyed the RPG line of scenarios and others who enjoyed the strategy, and it just made the audience to the game just that much bigger. And it was quite surprising, but actually quite a lot of fun.
So there's a funny but maybe not so surprising coincidence that on Heroes 7, the 6 factions we have, 2 of them have been actually voted by the community, are essentially the 6 factions of Heroes 2. So in your opinion, what makes these 6 factions so magical?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know when we were creating the first few games, we had a lot of debates on how many factions and where the creatures and the characters would belong, and for some reason the 6 groupings just turned out to be a magic number, and it just made sense from a strategy point of view. And I know there's been a lot of previous board games I played that 6 was kind of a magic number for sides too, so it's really interesting how Heroes evolved that way, and now you're saying that the fans want that back, and of course you've done it now with Hero 7, so that's pretty cool.
From a production point of view, what was the size of the team back on Heroes 1 and 2? How many people worked on these games?
Oh wow, I think Heroes 1 probably is 10 to 15 people. It wasn't really very large. Maybe expanded to close to 20 near the end. Heroes 2 got considerably larger, and I think Heroes 3 might have peaked at 50 plus people towards the end.
So actually, that's a great transition to Heroes 3, which is still to this day the episode that fans always mention and bring back into the conversation. Why do you think Heroes 3 became such a great success?
I think it's really the pinnacle of the Hero series. We took everything we had learned from the first 2 and added to it with some more modern graphics, and we created a new editor from scratch, which I think was a big part of the Hero series, for players to be able to create their own scenarios and map. And we spent a lot of time on the editor, and just a lot of time on game balance, a lot of time on details, and just we put our all into it. We really loved making that game. It was a lot of fun.
Heroes 3 went on to become very successful. It had several expansion packs, so the Heroes Chronicles also more experience to the fans. How do you explain basically the impact it had on players?
I don't know, it's quite magical actually. I still meet people today who tell me how that was their whole college career, was playing Heroes with their friends, and it's really quite amazing. That game has stood the test of time, and still even today people play it, and I don't know, sometimes you just hit it right on the money and it all works. It's really hard to explain.
And actually, in Heroes 3 especially, there are some heroes that are familiar faces. Sir Christian was actually Chris Vanover, one of the members of the team. David Mullick became Sir Mullick in the game. Are there other characters or heroes that come back to you and that have a special history like that?
Well, yes, I think a lot of them in the game were employees and or old characters from other Might and Magic games or previous Heroes games, or some of them were actually characters that many of the employees played as their role-playing characters when they played role-playing games. So it was a labor of love, and people wanted to put themselves into the product as well. And of course, I was Sir Canegham. They always put me on things, so I didn't mind.
And I think Kragak was actually your pen and paper character originally.
Yeah, that's correct. That goes all the way back to high school days when I used to play paper and pencil RPGs. I had a character called Kragak, and I think he's lived through all the Might and Magics and Heroes games. It always gives me a laugh when I hear that.
The Heroes series especially had, for a very, very long time, a very involved community. I think even back when it was Heroes 2 and 3, there was a video forums with a lot of people already discussing the games. So how was it to work with the community back then?
Oh, it was quite interesting, and it was a lot of fun as well. We used to have a saying at the office, they were always asking for all these features and all these concepts, but we really had to figure out why they were asking for it, as opposed to just dumping those features in, and then anytime we tried that, it didn't go very well. But it was fun. A lot of very vocal people, as obviously you have now, and very passionate fans, which is always a great thing to have.
One thing that really came to light recently is the size of the Russian and Chinese fan communities, and I think that's something you maybe didn't realize back in your computing days.
No, it's actually quite amazing that years later, hearing from many Russian companies and communities, and with recent visits to China, hearing about how they all knew about Heroes and Might and Magic and played in tournaments. And of course back then, we didn't sell any games to those territories, so they were all pirated. But it turns out millions of people played this game and the series of games through many years in these territories. And they just absolutely adored it. And they loved it, and still even today some are still playing. it was quite a surprise that the audience for this game was so much larger than we had ever even realized.
For you personally, which Heroes is your favorite and why?
Well, that's almost like asking which your favorite child, right? But I think Heroes 3 was probably the pinnacle of the Heroes games for me. I think I spent the most time on that one, but also Heroes 2 has a special moment for me because I did so much of the detail work in doing all the maps and the scenarios. So it's kind of tied between those two, but if you made me pick, I'd probably pick Heroes 3.
One thing, earlier we were talking about how Heroes was not supposed to be connected to Might and Magic, but after Heroes 2, basically, the world of Heroes became the world of the Might and Magic RPG, so it was sort of reversal of things. So how?
Well, so the Might and Magic RPG series came to a pinnacle at World of Zine after Might and Magic 5. And the story had ended, and I was a little done with role-playing games at that point, and I was 100% focused on strategy games, which became Heroes. And then as Heroes grew to be such a huge success, it became the lead project, actually, and Might and Magic RPGs were then following. So whatever we wanted to use for Heroes was fair game, and it became the lead world, and we borrowed lore and characters from the Might and Magic series, and that's how they became intertwined.
In the early Might and Magic titles, there was this sort of sci-fi background. It was usually well hidden, or you only discover it at the end of the games. But with Heroes 3 Armageddon's Blades, the first expansion pack, originally the plan was to bring that back into Heroes with the Forge faction. But this time the fans were not so happy about this. So can you tell us about basically this, how this turned out?
Oh, I thought it was fun. I think in a strategy game it's okay to introduce things and try them out, and if you don't want to use them, that's fine. And of course the Might and Magic RPG series had a little bit of sci-fi, as you remember, at the very end, kind of hidden underneath all of the fantasy. So bringing that to Heroes seemed like a natural, but it was, again, amazing, the fans' response of, get your sci-fi out of my fantasy game. Some of the diehards, so it was fun.
In your opinion, basically, what is the magic recipe that made Heroes so appealing and even addictive to players during these 2 decades? What is the secret ingredients?
I think the passion of the development team working on the game was a big part of the magic that came out of it. We all loved working on it, and we loved playing it, and I think that really came through in the quality of the end result on the product. I also think putting in the editor so players could enjoy the game and then modify it themselves and really continue to interact with the game for a long time to come after that. Those are some, I think, of the magic elements. And of course, fantasy is a worldwide very, very popular, and you add that with a balanced game, and I think you have something that people are going to enjoy for a long time.
One of the pillars of Heroes so far have always been the fact that it's a turn-based game. And but I guess that with the strategy market having more and more real-time games, there have been some temptation to go real-time with Heroes. So did that actually happen? Was it considered?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting topic. And as the Heroes evolved through 1, 2, and 3, and then computers were getting faster and more people were playing real-time games, there was a lot of pressure, actually, that we should move Heroes to a real-time strategy game as opposed to a turn-based. And the market was fewer and fewer turn-based games, and everyone was releasing real-time games, and we almost did it. We were actually very close to turning Heroes into a real-time strategy game. But at the last minute, I said, you know, this game, I wanted to keep it pure to what it was, and I said it's going to stay a turn-based strategy game. And I believe us and Civilization were the only 2 real big games that stayed as a turn-based game to this date, and I'm really happy we made that decision.
There have been actually some games that may have been influenced a bit by Heroes, so was it something you actually saw in other strategy games, and you say, oh, actually I recognize a bit of my game in that?
Yes, in fact, I do think there's a lot of games that borrowed or copied from the Hero series, and I think it's the greatest form of flattery, and I was excited to see it. It was actually pretty awesome.
So I think it was in 2004 maybe, Ubisoft acquired the Might and Magic IP, and from their new games, both Heroes, Might and Magic, Dark Messiah, Clash of Heroes, and so on, have been made in this brand. So did you play them? Did you keep track of these games?
Oh, absolutely. I was very excited to hear that Ubisoft picked up the licenses and that they were going to make new products. That was very exciting to me that my games were going to live on.
And yeah, I think that back when Heroes 5 was starting at Ubisoft, actually you were approached to maybe take part in some capacity to this project, but at the time it didn't happen. So can you tell us a bit why?
Well, I was busy at the time working in a new company and new games, and I thought it was very flattering, and I would have wanted to, but I couldn't dedicate my entire time to it, so we decided not to work together.
So right now we are in the last sprint for before releasing Might and Magic Heroes 7. Did you have the chance to see what the game was shaping up to be?
Well, I've been following it a little bit, and I'm obviously very excited to see it come out. And like with the previous Ubisoft games, I've been waiting to actually play the final game, is the way I like to do it. So can't wait to play it. I'm very excited.
On Heroes 7, we are trying to involve the community a lot in the development process with this Shadow Council website. We ask them to vote for factions, for creature design, and so on. But I was wondering, what's your opinion of this open development philosophy that we see more and more nowadays in video games?
Oh, absolutely, and it's quite commendable to actually do that, because I know how difficult it can be. But with a game with this type of history and the passion of the fans, I think it's a terrific thing to do, and I hope you do more of it.
One thing we've said about Heroes 7 is that it's a bit of a best of Heroes, basically our favorite features and ideas from all the past installments of Heroes, as well as some new ideas, of course. What would be your best of Heroes? What are your favorite features of the Heroes games?
Wow, that's a lot of features, but I'd have to say a well-balanced game that I can play over and over again, with a lot of difficulty settings, obviously beautifully created, and of course having an editor where people can put themselves into the game.
So this year is Heroes 20th anniversary, but next year will be Might and Magic 30th anniversary. So looking back on all these years, you've really been witness of the evolution of the video game industry. So what's your opinion on video games nowadays and where the industry is going?
I think it's great to have been involved with the industry for so many years, and wow, 30 years next year for the original Might and Magic, that's crazy. I can't even believe it. But I think games have, for the most part, remained the same, and what people like and the systems involved. The graphics get better, and now we have more interconnected games with the internet. But it's really been pretty cool to watch the evolution of games over this long period, and to see something like Heroes and Might and Magic continue to be played this long. I really can't tell you how great that feels.
So to conclude this interview, I have actually some questions from our VIP fans.
VIP fans, I'm in trouble now.
If you were to create Might and Magic today, would you still mix fantasy and science fiction together?
I think on the RPG series, yes. I think it was part of the original canon for the game, that there was a little hidden sci-fi at the very end of the RPG. That was really the story I created at the beginning.
I think it was in Might and Magic 3, so Eyes of Terror. At the very end, in the ending sequence, there's a mention of the creators being the ancients' arch-enemies, basically. And so fans are wondering if the creators and the Kriegans are the same beings.
Well, no, the Kriegans were a different race we created to do invasions and cause havoc. And the creators originally started off as just loosely the development team at the office. We were the creators. And then as the fans started to read and play the games, they started to interject ideas, and it actually stirred our imagination, and then we made more out of the creators than just the guys at the office writing the code.
Well, right now we're talking about the ancients, or because in Might and Magic 3 it implies that creators are like the nemesis of the ancients, and it was never mentioned ever again.
No, sure. In fact, the creators and the ancients were kind of the same thing originally. They were us at the office, and then as the fans responded to the concept and the lore and the mythology, we started to build it into the actual games and the history.
Another question, a bit of the same type, really, that Greg Fulton, who was a writer on Might and Magic Heroes 3, mentioned on a forum or something that angels were maybe like cyborgs, or it was hinting that there was some dark secrets behind the angels of Heroes 3. Was it actually just a joke, or were the angels really something scary?
Well, as far as I know, I think that was just a joke. Angels were just another fantasy creature that we had in the game, but you never know what Greg was thinking. He came up with a lot of crazy ideas.
Did you ever give a specific name to the planets where the Heroes 1, 2, 3, and Might and Magic 6, 7, 8 were set?
There was actually probably several names. I couldn't tell you today which one we even settled on. Maybe Greg could jump in on some forum sometime, but it really wasn't part of the big picture for the product, so I don't think it was a big deal. But I know there's fans who they like every little detail to come out.
At some point it became known that you had a passion for car racing. So is it still something you're interested in?
Yes, that's my other love is sports car and auto racing, and I've been doing it non-stop now for 20 years. And it's funny you just asked. Last weekend I was at Mazda Laguna Seca Raceway and actually won my third national championship. So it was very exciting.
So why did you decide to actually mostly left the science fiction elements out of Heroes?
Well, I think a lot of that had to do with the fan feedback, as you mentioned earlier. Might and Magic had a little bit of science fiction at the end, but Heroes really wanted to be a pure fantasy strategy series, and then when we added RPG sense to it, it just didn't really need the science fiction background.
Of all the worlds of Might and Magic, and there's been quite a few, from Van, Kron, Terra, and VII, and all the ones that followed. What's your personal favorite playground, basically?
Well, I think World of Zine was probably my favorite. It was the pinnacle of the story of, all 5 games led to the finale, and it brought it all together. And that was kind of the end of my story for Might and Magic at the end of World of Zine. So that was probably definitely my favorite.
Maybe a more philosophical question, I guess. But what's your main goal when you create a game? Is it the fun, the interesting plot, having interesting and unique gameplay experience, or a bit of everything, basically?
Well, true, it's a bit of everything. I think there's a little bit of selfishness in there, and I do like to create games that I myself love to play indefinitely. And it's just such a great feeling to be able to create something that so many people out there can enjoy and have a great time with. And then there's, of course, the financial responsibility, but for me it's always been, I hope it makes enough so I can make another one.
Originally there was Might and Magic the RPG, then came Heroes, the strategy game, and little by little there were other attempts to try other genres, like action games and stuff like that. For you, what would be the genre you'd like to see Might and Magic try, basically?
Well, when we did want to make an MMO out of it, there was an attempt there that we never got to finish. I really did like the direction of Dark Messiah that Ubisoft did. I thought that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing that. I've seen some handheld games and some browser games. I think they're all cool. But any more of the games is just great with me.
Yeah, so the last fun question is really about Might and Magic Online that you mentioned. Did you regret never getting to finish this project, basically?
Oh, absolutely. We had such amazing plans to take Might and Magic to online. RPGs, I saw them evolving, I saw them moving to an online to be able to play together with your friends, and I really wanted to make a version of Might and Magic that could go that direction and be online where you could play together with people you knew and go on adventures. So I would have loved to have made one of the early MMOs, but just didn't happen.
So thank you very much for participating today in this interview, and also thank you for creating Might and Magic and Heroes and giving us gamers so many hours and nights of fun and just one more turn. It's especially with Heroes in these last 20 years. And we really hope at Ubisoft that you will enjoy Heroes 7 when it comes out in late September.
I look forward to playing it, and thank you so very much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Hát ez volt a jó, nagyon hosszúra elnyitott, de nagyon sok érdekességeket tartalmazó Might Magic Heroes 7 map editor bemutató, illetve különleges speciális meglepetések tárháza is egyben. Remélem nektek is tetszett ez a videó. Próbáltam néha hozzászólni, amikor éppen tudtam úgy, hogy hallják az angolt és a magyart is az emberek, a nézők. Remélem sikerült, köszönöm, hogy néztetek minket most, és hát hogy megnéztetek ezt a jó kis hosszúra nyúlt élő stream adást. Úgyhogy tőletek, sziasztok, és nagyon jó munkákat kívánok majd, nagyon jó szórakozást a Heroes 7-hez, ha megjelenik.